everyone, welcome back to theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Again, that website address is theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Thank you all for watching, and more importantly, thank you guys for interacting on social media. And I want to give this week's social media shout out to Sarkis Clinical Trials in Gainesville, Florida. They do mental health, psychiatric clinical trials, just like my company, South Coast Clinical Trials. So thank you very much. They interacted this week in social media, so keep your eyes peeled for that kind of stuff. Whether you follow me on Twitter or Facebook or Google Plus or LinkedIn, whatever it may be. If you see like, hey, respond to this or retweet this, and I'll give you a shout out. Look out for that. It's free promotion. So Sarkis Clinical Trials in Gainesville, Florida. Thank you very much for interacting. Everyone, check them out. They do mental health clinical trials out there in Florida. Thank you very much. Today's question is inspired by CRAC from Canada, basically the Clinical Research Professionals organization out in Canada. I think it's CRAC, Clinical Research Associate of Canada. They asked me my thoughts on remote monitoring versus traditional monitoring in clinical trials. So for those of you who don't understand what monitoring means, basically every study that's done at research clinics has to be monitored. The data has to be reviewed. Usually it's the sponsor or the CRO, which is the contract research organization, that will come out to the clinic and routinely, usually once a month, routinely monitor or look at, sort of like audit what's going on. So is the research clinic entering the data the right way? Are they entering the same data that they're recording on the source documents? And all you study coordinators know what I'm talking about. So they come in once a month. There seems to be a trend now, and we've had an interview with Anna Marquez, who's an expert on this stuff. There's something new surfacing out there in the industry called remote monitoring. So traditional monitoring is when the monitor actually visits the site. She spends about a day or two, sometimes 3 days, physically present at the site, working side by side with the coordinator, working side by side with the investigators, to try to make sure that the research clinic is doing what they're supposed to do, and that the data is being entered properly, and things like that. Now there's a trend for the research sponsors and the CROs. They're trying to cut costs, they're trying to save money. It's understandable. Everyone's doing that. The economy's not that great. They're doing remote monitoring. So what that means is instead of physically coming to the clinic, they're asking the research sites to make copies of all the source documents, which could be hundreds of pages, maybe even thousands of pages, and then either scan them or fax them to them, hence the word remote. They're not actually physically present. Then they will review the charts and the source documents, and they will communicate either on the web through like a web conference or like a Skype call, like you see some of our interviews, or just by phone, plain old telephone. And it sounds like a good idea until you actually talk to people who have experienced remote monitoring. I've never experienced it. I think in our kind of studies, which are psychiatric trials, there's just too much paperwork, there's too many rating scales for that to be successful at the moment. But I've talked to people who have experienced remote monitoring, and while on the surface it seems like, you don't have to be there for the monitor, it ends up being a lot more work and a lot costlier for the research clinics. So it's essentially costing the research sites money and time. They have to pay someone, their coordinator, to scan all these copies and then send it all over, which, when you compare it to a traditional monitoring visit, you wouldn't need to do that. There's no time needed for scanning or copying. The paper is already there. The monitor can look at them. That takes virtually no time. Now, that process alone, just getting the documents in front of the monitor's eyes, takes hours. And it takes time, and it takes manpower. And this is something that the research clinics are not getting reimbursed for. So watch out for that, because remote monitoring, if you suspect that your study will have remote monitoring, make sure you're getting compensated for it in your budget. Because according to what I hear from Anna Marquez and other people I've talked to, this is a hidden cost of doing clinical trials, and it could be dangerous if you're not getting it compensated because your coordinator's time, your staff member's time is being used up. That's what I've heard about remote monitoring, so hopefully this helps answer your question. Again, stay tuned. We're going to do much more on this. And now I want to thank all of our Guru producers. These are people who registered a profile on the Clinical Trials Guru company. So they're either research clinics or industry professionals who work in the clinical trials industry. These people get exposure because we mention them in every single video we do, and they get to be producers. So the first 100 people to sign up, it only costs $99 per the whole year. You get to be a producer of the show, and you get to have your very own page on our website to showcase your organization to literally the entire world so they can see it. I want to give a shout out to Sarah Elizabeth Siegler, Resolve Research Solutions, Erdhart Clinical Trials, Accurate Clinical Trials, and PTNR. These are our 5 producers. Please, there's still room left. There's 95 spots left. Sign up, become a producer. We'd love to see you on there. I'd love to be able to promote your company. And for $99 a year, that's trivial. It's like a Starbucks budget for an entire month. So, love to see you guys on there. Let me know your thoughts on remote monitoring. And as always, stay tuned for more. TheClinicalTrialsGuru.com. Thank you.